Let us talk about today the temptation to settle, and how when you settle, you are literally closing doors. Doors that, had you not settled, what you truly desire would have come to you through. So why do we settle? Let's talk about 4 reasons. 4 that are most common, I feel. A feeling of unworthy or undeservingness of the attainment or obtainment of the goal or desire. 2, the ego's lack of patience. 3, a lack of conviction in your ability. 4, this idea that a lot of society and or religions have imposed upon us that wanting more or wanting better is shameful. And settling can happen in any aspect of life. Settling could happen in a personal growth path. Settling could happen in relationships, whether it's friendships or romantic relationships. It could happen in your career. It could happen in your health and wellness, right? So there are all of these areas of life in which one can settle. But what happens when we settle? You are communicating to your subconscious mind that that is all you're worthy of. That's all you can get. That's all you deserve. That is your max. So let's touch on the first reason as to why we settle: a lack of unworthiness or undeservingness. A feeling of undeservingness or unworthiness of your goal or desire. This one's kind of hard to touch on just because there are so many reasons as to why one may feel unworthy or undeserving, but find solace in the fact that none of those reasons are valid. You were born worthy and deserving of all you desire. We all have specific wants and desires and goals. Not one person has the same as another. And even if they are very similar or both want a house, right? Both want 2 different kinds of houses in 2 different locations. Right? So we have these very specific goals, dreams, and desires in our hearts, in our minds, in our imaginations, because we personally have the potential to fulfill them. Like an apple tree's seed has all the information within it to grow into this wonderful tree. All it needs is the proper environment, but it's not desiring to grow into an oak tree. It is an apple tree. It has that specific coding in that seed to grow into an apple tree and produce apples because that seed was meant to do that, right? Think of that in the same way as you think of your goals, dreams, and desires. They are within you because you have the potential to fulfill them. And now let's move on to the second reason that we settle: the ego's lack of patience. So sometimes especially if the goal is like something like career oriented, like you want to be well known in your field, things like that, or perhaps you want to fall in love, get married, and have a family and start one like right now, right? Like you want that really bad. The more you want something, and the more what you want will create a new identity for you that you want to embody, usually the more of a rush you feel to get there. The more the ego wants that accolade, the more the ego wants that identity, the faster it'll attempt to make it happen, force it to happen. It has like this like needy, wanty, desperate energy behind it, right? And think of it like this: you have this space in your life for the perfect romantic partnership for you, right? You have this space in your life, and perhaps the only reason it's taking X, Y, and Z as long, right? The only reason it's taking the amount of time you need to obtain the thing is because there's something about you that needs to change before that person is ready for you, or you're ready for that person, right? For example, perhaps you have problems with jealousy and that person has a lot of the opposite sexed friends, right? And so like there, you need to work on that in order to fill this space well, right? But if you're in a rush to fill that space, you'll begin to shift reality to meet that, if that makes sense. For example, you meet a random person and all of a sudden you're creating scenarios in your head of how this person is when in reality they aren't that way, right? We're shifting and distorting what we see to fit what we want because we want it so badly. And that's the ego. And so, please don't get me wrong, the ego is not bad. The ego is necessary. The ego is a beautiful tool in order for self-expression in this lifetime. However, if uncontrolled, the ego can get out of hand, and that's one way in which it can do so. It can rush the completion of goals because it wants the identity and accolade, and therefore settle. Now let's move on to the third reason as to why we settle sometimes. A lack of conviction in your ability. So you want to create a restaurant chain, right? But you maybe have like worked in a kitchen before, but you've never owned a business. You've never managed a business. You've never had to look for employees and accountants and all of these things, right? And so you're here without any of that, but you have this very grand vision for what you want, and you just notice the lack of it. You notice how much you still have to obtain in order to get there, right? And it starts discouraging you. How am I going to do that? Couldn't possibly do that. I've never done that before, right? And so you have a lack of conviction in your ability. Whereas if you had thoughts along the lines of, you know what, I'll figure it out. Like as I go, I'll figure it out. What do I think the first thing I need to know about is, right? Perhaps a business license, or just like interview managers of different chain restaurants. You know what I mean? And so if you have a lack of conviction in your ability to achieve what you want to achieve, it'll stop you in your tracks, cause you to settle. Perhaps you'll get like a job that has nothing to do with restaurants, And the fourth reason, but not the final, because again, there are so many reasons as to why we settle, but a fourth common reason is society and religion's shaming of you, or just like general people wanting more. Have you ever heard phrases like, you should be happy with what you have? You're lucky to have what you have. You should be grateful for all the things that are already in your life, right? All of these things, though true, yes, be happy with what you have. Be grateful with what is around you currently. But that does not mean you cannot, or that it is wrong to want more. We live in a material world. Anyone else singing that song in their head now? We live in a material world with things. Things are meant to be enjoyed. That's why they are created. They are created because they were once someone's idea. They thought it was super cool. They made it, and now we all get to enjoy it. Like chairs, like somebody thought of that idea, and now I'm sitting on a chair, and I'm glad I am, because I've been filming all day and I don't want to stand all day, right? But if I didn't have, like before I had this chair, if I was sitting there like, I have a couch and like I have a floor and I could sit on that, and so I should just feel content. What? No. If you want it, it's okay to want it. If you want more, if you want better, that is okay. It is divine. It is spiritual. It is religious. Any of the things, right? Those kinds of ideas and concepts were, one, created at a time that maybe it was relevant, I don't know, and two, created to suppress. And let's not even get into that. So, settling. 4 reasons why we do it. Why not to do it? Because you're worthy and deserving of the grandest of life's experiences. So, let me know what you thought about this below. Tell me in which area of your life you're going to stop settling, and I'll see you next time.